I'm live. Okay, I don't know why a message popped up as if I wasn't. Hello, welcome everybody. I know I'm in a pretty weird situation up here. I decided to take several flights up of stairs, hoping that nobody comes through here because I'm right on the stairwell. See, if you could see, I'm. Can you see what I'm trying to show you? Probably not. Right there. There you go. I'm on the stairwell. I just couldn't help myself. I had to jump on. Wanted to share a few things. It's been a while. Oh my goodness. Look what I have. Look what I have. I've never had one of these. And I hope everyone's doing great. Happy Thursday. Look. Look. It's a cannoli. I've never had one in my life. And even though I don't eat till 3, I can't. I want to, but we're going to hold off. I shouldn't even be having this. It's filled with sugar. I'm sure it smells so sweet, so delicious. Everyone at work, they brought them to my job today as a dessert after lunch. And I said, you know what? We're putting one to the side, and we're going to have one. Anyway, I thought I would jump on board. Sometimes I want to do it all the time, like every lunch, and my lunches vary. They're different. Sometimes they can be long lunches, sometimes they're short lunches. So it varies, and then today I was like, let me try to go up those stairs and see what's up there. And hopefully, like I said, nobody comes through here. But I do have a reason why I did jump on board. And I took off my little jacket. I don't work for them anymore, but the scrubs are amazing. You can't get rid of these types of scrubs. These are eternal scrubs. So I wear them with my handy dandy little jacket, and I hide it at work because I don't work for that hospital anymore. So if anybody thinks that this is where I work, I don't. But it's hot today here. I think we're getting ready to hit the 90s, and it is not looking that good. It looks like by 4 or 5 p.m. it's going to be 99 degrees. But anyway, thought I would jump on board because a few days ago, actually I think it was a day or two ago, I found out that an old boyfriend of mine passed away. And I found out that he passed away, I think he passed away 5 years ago, like in 2020, 2021, something like that. And I wasn't with him during that time that he passed away, but I found out that this was a while back. I want to say this was maybe 14 years ago. But anyway, it touched me. It affected my mood for the last 2 days, and I've been kind of somber about the whole situation. Sad, hoping that, that I knew of, that he was a Christian. And I want to get into one of the reasons why I'm very, very sad about the whole situation. And so when I met him, I knew that he was a Christian, and one of the highlights of our relationship was going to church every Sunday. And I'll be honest, even though we weren't living right, we were living in sin, if you know what that means. We still have made it to church. There we go, the faithful Christians that we call ourselves, but yet we weren't living right in front of God. But today is a different story. My life has completely changed, and I thank God every single day for that. Such an amazing turnaround. I'm a happier human being. I'm a God of child, and these non-negotiables that I have in my life now kind of keep me on the road. They keep me on the road, on the right road. And I live happy because I have an answer for many things that I didn't have answers for. And one of the answers that I tell men that ever even try to approach me for anything, because I'm single, and I'm not trying to do a public announcement about it. No, I'm just trying to tell you where I'm going with this. Is first, I'm not interested in having a relationship with a man. Not today, not now. I don't see it happening anytime in the future, because I just recently found my love for Christ. And I'm in that first love that I should have had a long time ago, 30 or something years ago, when I came to know Christ, but it never happened. So now that I have a life with Christ, I'm so in love with Him. Every day it's a learning thing. I actually get up every day at 5 o'clock in the morning to have my time with the Word, to have my time with the Lord, to listen, to take it all in, whether it's with through my Bible or a preaching, but it's something, because that's how much I love Christ. I've never done anything like that for anyone. And I think only if I wanted something, I'd get up. For the boyfriends I'd have, make a breakfast, that whole thing, tit for tat type of a thing. But no, this relationship with the Lord is, He doesn't expect anything from me. He doesn't demand anything from me. With it, you do it out of love. Nobody's asking you. When you come to Christ, He doesn't ask you. It's not about rules and rules and rules. No, there are rules, don't get me wrong, but there's nobody, putting a rope over your neck saying, if you don't, I'm going to pull tighter. It doesn't. That's not how it works with Christ. With Christ, and this is what I've learned, is that people always say, oh no, we don't want to be a Christian because they don't let you listen to secular music. You can't cuss. You can't have sex before marriage. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't have abortions. You can't, and the list goes on and on. And one of the things that I tell people now and today is, nobody's asking you and obligating you to do anything. There is a standard of life as a Christian that you have to uphold yourself to, if you call yourself a Christian. If you choose to follow the Word of God, at least demonstrate the denomination properly. Demonstrate the faith faithfully. Do a good job. Just like if you work, let's say I did work for this hospital. Let's say I did work for them. I'm sure they would want me to be someone that, while I'm wearing this, while I'm demonstrating to the world that I work for them, even though I don't, I just don't want to throw away this. I'm repurposing this scrub. I have to do a good job representing them, right? So in the same way, if you're calling yourself a follower of Christ, and in your heart, when you love somebody, you just do all the right things. Anyway, so the reason why I had jumped on board, I'm looking here, let me see, I'm on a road trip. Oh, let's see, I'm about to do a road trip myself. I'm about to do a road trip. I'm going to be driving from Rochester, making a stop in Tennessee, and going to have fun. And hey, let's see, I need my glasses. Let's see this. Okay, I'm on a road trip and just witnessed a woman walk into the men's bathroom, and the poor girl came back out terrified. What's going on in there? Well, I'm sure they're using the bathroom. That's happened to me. I actually walked into a men's bathroom, used it, came out, and I was like, sir, this actually happened to me. And they said, sir, you're in the wrong, no ma'am, you're in the wrong restroom. And I wanted to die. I'm sorry that you just witnessed that. Wow. Oh my goodness. But anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful road trip. Where are you traveling to and from? I'm about to have a road trip next week, and I'm excited. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. Something I've never done. I've driven from the West Coast to Texas, and I've driven from Texas to the East Coast, but I've never driven all the way up there to the East Coast, and it's going to be exciting. But anyway, I may God keep you on your trip. May He protect you and guide you, and I hope you don't run into other craziness. That bathroom episode can do a number on you, because I remember when I walked out of there, I was in shock. And you know what? I don't know about you. If any of you have been into a men's bathroom, they don't really have those stalls anymore. At least the bathroom that I walked into by accident didn't have it. It had toilet stalls with doors and all that. But anyway, where I was going with my conversation was, so I just found out 2 days ago that an old boyfriend of mine died. He passed away, and when I was with him, he had Parkinson's. He had been diagnosed with Parkinson's at a very early age, kind of the same scenario that happened to Michael J. Fox. The trembling. And a lot of people call Parkinson's an old man's disease, because for the most part, very old people in their 80s get it. And when you get it in your early 40s or 30s, it's a I think it's a familial disease that you can have, because his father died from it, his older brother died from it. He now has passed away. He still has a younger brother. Um, and I'm not sure. I don't stay in touch anymore. But anyway, I found out 2 days ago that he passed away almost 5 years ago. I wasn't with him at the time that he passed away, but I was with him when I met him. And like I was saying, we weren't the best Christians, but we did, we tried. I guess you could call it that. We we used to go to church every Sunday, and we were in a non-denominational church. And anyway, when I found out on the first day I met him that he had Parkinson's. But love is love. I fell in love with him, and he actually told me, I thought that I had to keep my Parkinson's away from you. And when I came on the first date, he said I overloaded myself with those medications that they take for the tremors, so that you won't see it, because I was scared. I was like, I just need to get my foot in the door, let her know who I am. I want her to meet me, and maybe she'll like me, and maybe she can put past her the whole Parkinson's disease, which I did. As a matter of fact, my children brought home a cat once. The soul, Mom, we brought you a birthday present, and they bring me a cat. I fall in love with the cat. They're like, we got him at the shelter. It's a present for you. Okay, I fell in love with the cat. 15 minutes pass, and my kids kept looking at each other, and they were like, Mom, are you okay with this? And I said, I love it. Thank you. I love my present. I never turn away pets. Men, yes, but not pets. So I was like, I love it. And they're like, really? And they're like, we were so worried that you were just going to have an issue that because he's missing a leg. And I was holding him, and I'm like, what? And they're like, he's missing a leg. You've been playing with him, holding him, picking him up, and you haven't said anything. So, I said, and when I looked, sure enough, my little Cusco, he had 3 legs. And I said, it was meant to be. I didn't notice, and I don't care. So I think I've always been that type of person. Anyway, I fell in love with the man that had Parkinson's, and I loved him with all of my heart. And then once we got acquainted with one another, realized that we're Christians and all, we started dating. We decided to go to church every Sunday. And it turns out, this was the funny thing, was that he was going to the same church I was going to, except he was going to the first service, I was going to the last service. And it was one of those things where it was like, boy, this was meant to be, even though we were living in sin, but anyway. And I remember the first Sunday that we went to church together. At our church, they always do like an altar call if you need prayer or anything. So I grabbed him by the hand and I said, let's go up. And he was like, for what? And I said, they're calling for prayer for health and stuff. We should go up there. He's like, for what? What's wrong with you? And I said, nothing's wrong with me. It's you. You're the sick one. And we started laughing. And I'm like, wait a minute. And of course, we were at the service. The noise, the lights were down, dimmed, and the music and the altar call thing. And I was like, wait a minute. He's like, we'll talk about this when we leave. And I was like, okay, are you coming up there with me? And he said, no. And I was like, okay. I went up by myself, praying for him. I was like, well, I guess he doesn't have to be right next to me, but we're going up there for prayer because we're asking for a miracle. Anyway, got out of church, and we always did this Sunday. This was one of the things I liked about him. It's a little side note about men, that he used to tell me Sunday was made for church to rest, and a woman should never be in the kitchen preparing meals. So we're having dinner, we're having lunch today, but Monday, the cooking starts. So I was like, okay. So every Sunday after church, it was woohoo. It was either Chipotle or IHOP. It was something. So we got in the car. I noticed that he was bothered. And I said, maybe I stepped out of line, saying we're going in there because of you. You're the sick one, But I didn't know what else to tell him. And then he said, I said, is everything okay? Because I noticed that at the end of the service, I think maybe something happened, and I hope that I didn't say anything that created a problem. And he said, actually, I'm going to ask you for a big favor. And in that moment, it's just, you never really know people, really. And of course, we were dating new. We were new in our I think it was like 2 months into it. And he said, don't ever ask me to go up there to pray. And I was like, why? And he said, because I don't want to. And he said, you believe in that mumbo jumbo? And in that moment, I felt like my heart just dropped to the floor. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why are we going to church? What? Wait, I'm confused, I told him. I am so confused. And I'll tell you this, I found out that he died 2 days ago, and I have been replaying that moment like it was yesterday in my head. It just has been replaying and replaying. I'm sorry. It's sad to me because we dated for about a year, and we went to church every Sunday. And after that first Sunday, I always went up there to pray by myself for him. And on that day, I think we went to IHOP to eat. When I said, I'm going to talk to him once we're sitting down. And I told him, why are we not praying over your illness? It's a disease, he said. And he was so bothered by it. And he said, it's a disease, what I have. And that stuff, that praying for the sick, that was in the first church of the Corinthians, of the this and the that. It has nothing to do with us today. And today, in modern days, you live with the diseases that you have. And I just couldn't believe my ears. I could not believe my ears. And I said, you're telling me that you don't believe in prayers? You don't believe in the power, the healing power of God? Then what did he die on the cross for? It says he died for our sins, for our diseases. He took everything to the cross. And I remember thinking to myself, in that moment, I was like, I'm already falling in love with this man. It's not like I can make this a deal breaker of what you don't believe in, because by then I was already hooked and I loved him. And then of course I thought, if I even break up with him because we don't even see eye to eye on biblical things, what message am I sending? I mean, I don't know. I wasn't even right with God. All I know is that I'd go to church on Sunday and played the role to some degree. And so anyway, I just wanted to say this because this morning I always listen to, actually it was not this morning, last night, the Diary of a CEO. He has somebody on there, and I'll plug in the show. I think the show was yesterday's show. And it's a doctor, I can't remember his name, where he's talking about the eyes. And the name of the show is something like, they've been lying to you about the sun or sunlight or something. And I recommend it. It's worthwhile the listen, worth it 100%. As a matter of fact, I'm going to listen to it twice, because last night I listened to it and I was dozing in and out of it. And I was like, I got to go to bed. So I didn't catch the whole thing, but I did catch this. This was at the end, because I caught the end, when one of those moments when I woke up and I'm like, wait a minute, I think I missed half of this. And anyway, at the very end of the program, he talks about, so if you've ever seen the Diary of a CEO, they leave the guest that was on there, the last guest that was on there, or it's just a guest, I don't know if they tell you if it's the last guest, they leave a question for the upcoming guest. And so the very last question to the doctor was to the effect of, do you ever finish interviews, visits with people? Oh gosh, the cement is killing my booty. We're not young anymore. I can't be sitting here squatting. Next time I'll bring a pillow. But the question to the doctor was, do you ever get people that episodes, moments where you're doing a show or you're at a talk, you're at a conference, and you wish that people would have asked you something? And if so, what are those questions like that you wish people would ask you? And so he said, oh, right here, he said, I know exactly how to answer this question. And he said, I wish people would talk to me more about God during their illnesses. I wish the people would talk to me more about God. And so uh, he said, why? And he said, because it's so surprising to me that people don't realize. Look, he said, I'm going to talk to you. When I was a resident at a hospital, I think he said he was in New York. I can't remember where he was at. But when he was I guess doing his residency at a hospital, they were doing their rounding. And he said, we had been introduced to a man. He was young. He was in his mid-20s. And he had a like testicular cancer or something. There was a growth, a mass in his testicle, and he needed a surgery. And it was supposed to be just a go in and go out type of surgery. Well, it ended up that during his surgery, he didn't get enough oxygen flow through the procedure, that he, I guess, had a lot of damage in his brain. So when he woke up, he was going to have a terrible life. But the wife, he said he was married. His wife was very young. They were both in their 20s, and he stayed there for months. I think 6 months, he said, because the wife didn't want to pull the plug. They had approached her, and she said no. And he said, I remember them telling us when we went in, why do we still have him here? Somebody asked the question, what if he's in the vegetate, like he would shake. He said that he would shake, and he couldn't, no speech, no nothing. His motor skills, his cognitive, then nothing was working. And then what he remembers of that was that they had told him, the girlfriend wants to keep him alive. She says she's praying for him. So anyway, he says a few weeks passed by. They're doing rounding, and outside of his room, through the window, there was a window. Something caught his eye. He said, because I noticed that even from a distance, that he was focusing on something and doing less shaking. And you could tell, he said, and I caught it out of the corner of my eye. And when I looked, I said, wait a minute, I think he's looking at something. And then he just said that he waved at him to, just kind of to see, hello, can you see me? And he says that the guy waved at him. It was a messy wave. And he said, oh my goodness. So he tells everybody, I just thought I saw something. Can we go in the room? And they were like, yeah, whatever. You thought you saw something, but I don't think that was the case. Well, he said that he kept his eye on the patient. And sure enough, after 6 months, he was sent home completely well. And a few weeks later, him and his wife came to visit the unit, and he caught them. And they brought gifts to them to thank them for all of the care, the patience, and the attention that the husband was getting. And he said, in that moment, I realized that I'm so happy that I'm a new doctor. And he said, I must have missed that class in school where they talk to you about God, where they talk to you about miracles. I must have not gone to school that day. And we know what he's trying to say. He's saying that this is not what they teach you in school. Any biology class, anywhere that you go to, they're not going to teach you any of that stuff. So he says that he told the wife, boy, your perseverance, and he said, she told him it's called the power of prayer, and it's called the power of healing, and our God healed him. And he said, yes, he did. He absolutely did. And so he says, and I wish people would ask me more about the spiritual side. And in my practice, I make that a point, just to let people know that when all medical hope has been lost, there's spiritual connectedness. And he calls it the truth. He says, I call it people's truths of what they believe in. But anyway, I was saying all this about the doctor that I happened to hear last night because of the man that I did. I was about to say his name. I don't want to say his name. But never lose hope. I don't know what happened in that instance. He wouldn't allow me to pray with him. He didn't believe in praying anymore. I did For every day that I was with him, I would pray for him because I believed it. I'm sad that he didn't believe it, and I have a feeling, and I'm praying to God that that's not the case. I hope that he didn't die believing that God doesn't heal you, because God does, and he had very little faith. So anyway, I need to go back to work. I just thought I would jump on board to share this, and now I've gone into 25 minutes now. Oh my gosh, that wasn't the plan. But anyway, I just wanted to encourage everybody. If you have somebody that's sick, somebody that's not doing well, pray for them. If you're a Christian, believe. God healed me of alcoholism. God healed me of a disease that had already caused me my life to be in jeopardy twice in my life. And I'm telling you, please, please know that God is a God of healing powers. He heals. He died on the cross for our sins, for everything you could think of. He took it. It was nailed upon that cross. And please be hopeful. Whenever you see someone that's sick, offer to pray for them. It works. We believe in a God that's almighty, and he's there. And guess what? You know, there's a verse in the Bible that says that the rain falls on even the bad, the good and the bad. And in the same manner, so does the prayers that we do. We pray, we could be praying for someone that is not a believer. We could be praying for them, and God could have great mercy and heal him. But please don't, I just wanted to jump on board because this has been bothering me for 2 days now since I found out that he died. And I just hope that one day I do get to see him in heaven. I know that he was a believer. The things that he believed in, I'm not sure. I don't know where, at what point in his life he decided that God doesn't heal people today. He heals people today. He healed me. I'm a walking testimony. Alcohol was killing me. It was killing me. It was destroying my life, my family life. It was destroying my health. And now I'm battling with health things because of the alcohol. And you know what? Little by little, God has been restoring my body. He truly has. He's given me the wisdom of how to take care of my body. But anyway, guys, I'm going to run. Let me just say, I hope for you that you're traveling, Emma. God bless you. God keep you on the road. Nothing is going on. Oh, what? Nothing's going on in the men's room. She was probably just shaken up like a man would be who accidentally enters the women's room. That sounds funny to me. That's true. I don't know if I'm understanding what Giovanni says, but I think what he's saying is with all kinds of things happening in the world, it might have been a woman, but it looked like a man. Who knows? But anyway, I don't want to discard your fear because that happened to me again. Guys, I love you. God bless you. Stay safe. Guess what? For those of you that missed it, I'm going to eat after 3 a cannoli for the first time in my life. Wish me well. I like sweet, so I'm sure that this cannoli is going to taste amazing. You know, knowing me, I'm probably just going to eat the center. I'm going to stick it through the other side and eat it because I don't know about this crust. What? I don't even know what this is. It feels like a hard... it doesn't look like anything I want to eat, but I do want to eat the center. Okay, guys. I love you. Take care. For those of you that catch me from time to time, I'm sorry I don't always post things, but I'll try. And subscribe, like, please. I want to keep doing this. And I don't know. It's something about, I think it's not that you want the numbers to grow, but sometimes you're like, get discouraged because you're like, nobody listens, nobody watches, and you know. But anyway, tell me where you're listening from. God bless you, and I better run before I get fired. Bye-bye.